Get another opportunity to follow that up as you would wish.
I figured as much.
We'll proceed to a second round of questioning. I recognize myself for 5 minutes, or what portion of that I might consume. Ms. Spitalnick, let me go back and give you, because I really didn't give you a full opportunity to answer, and let me just by way of reintroducing the topic, and it sort of builds off of what Mr. Crane said to some degree. But here's another tweet that you did on April 24. When reporters write the story of Tucker Carlson, do not gloss over who he is. He is a raging white supremacist, misogynist, and bigot who has done more to normalize violent extremism and hate over the last few years than nearly anyone else. I think what I'm trying to get at from you, ma'am, and you may not wish to draw such a distinction, but isn't there a distinction between the white supremacy that Mr. Crane was talking about, that the Oklahoma City bomber may have been, or I'm not even sure, I guess he was an anti-government, whether it was white supremacy, I don't recall, I don't know enough about him. But there certainly are malignant theories and groups out there, the New Zealand attacker, so forth. I'm not an encyclopedia of that, obviously, but there's a lot of that. But you seem in your political advocacy to draw an equivalence between that and sort of right-wing views, conservative views. So abortion, somebody who's pro-life is a white supremacist to you, at least judged from that tweet. If you object to Soros-funded prosecutors who have sort of overturned the way prosecutorial activity goes on, you're a white supremacist. If you are Tucker Carlson, you're a white supremacist, misogynist, bigot, et cetera. Is there a distinction, or are we talking, again, is that just the whole, are you referring to the whole right, the whole center-right range of the spectrum, ideological spectrum in the country?
Well, there's a distinction between white supremacist views and white supremacist violence. And so when we talk about views, those are precisely the views that you just cited, the tweets that you referenced. People like Tucker Carlson, elected officials, pundits, candidates, others who have normalized and mainstreamed the white supremacist views, like the Great Replacement Theory, talking about things like invasion, talking about things like a globalist effort to change our demographics, change our electorate, talking about using terms like Soros or the Rothschilds as subs for the Jewish community as part of this Great Replacement Theory, which is deeply anti-Semitic, racist, xenophobic. And so when something like that gets a home on primetime news, gets espoused by elected officials and candidates, what that does is then give license to the violent extremists, like those who marched on Charlottesville or shot up the synagogue in Pittsburgh or Chabad in Poway or the Walmart in El Paso or the supermarket in Buffalo, who in their manifestos use that very same Great Replacement Theory to justify the murder of Jewish people, black people, immigrants, and so many others. Okay,
so just to clarify, let's take anti-abortion, pro-life, someone of pro-life views. That's equivalent to white supremacy in your judgment?
There are some in the anti-abortion movement who have trafficked in white supremacist views, who have talked about things like white birth rates and the replacement of the white population and the importance of, quote, banning abortion in order to protect the white population.
So
I am not saying that everyone who opposes abortion is a white supremacist, but there are absolutely many in the anti-abortion movement who utilize white supremacy to further their goals. I couldn't tell you a percentage, but historically there is a deep interconnection between the white supremacist movement and the anti-abortion movement. There's been a lot written about this as well.
You can find exceptions. I'm sure Margaret Sanger was a eugenicist, wasn't she?
She could have been. She was, I believe.
Okay, so
of course there are exceptions to every rule, but
let me ask
that doesn't change the fact that there are those who use white supremacy as a means to further an anti-abortion agenda.
Mr. Rosas, let me ask you to comment on the sort of the subject matter. I don't even know if I can frame a question. It seems to me troubling. I mean, I've been in politics a few years, and so there came to pass that every person who is a conservative is referred to as a racist repeatedly. Now the term sort of evolved to white supremacy. Seems to me that is destructive for the dialogue. Do you not think so?
Well, yeah, because it seems someone sneezes the wrong way and they're accused of white supremacy. I mean, in the example, the most prominent example that I was personally witness to was the Kyle Rittenhouse shooting. He was immediately labeled as a white supremacist. I believe one of the members of the squad, name not coming to mind, but she said that he was a white supremacist terrorist, completely neglecting the fact that the people that he shot in self-defense were all white.
My time has nearly expired, so I'll yield back, and I will recognize the ranking member, Mr. Ivey, for his second round 5 minutes question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.